birds flying high. You know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Welcome, Goat Locker fans, to another race under the lights for the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. It's round 10, and we're here in the virtual desert at Phoenix Raceway. Strap on and strap tight as we get ready to watch another round of the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series right here on V-Speed. I believe we're actually at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as my notes here were saying otherwise, but I'm Bradley Cooper. Joining me in the booth tonight is Logan Threlkeld and Eddie Smith, our producer, working the controls in the background. Welcome in, everybody. And I'm ready for another one. We saw a great race the last time I was here. Logan, I tell you what, man, the action here with all the different winners and the point series, the cutoff lines, it's really tight here.
Dude, it's a crazy battle for the back half of this, points cutoff. Anywhere from 7th to 12th tonight, they're in the running for it. And even at this point, we've got so many below that cut line that it's a win you're in type of situation. So we might see just an absolute oddball of a race come through and be putting somebody new up there in the top 12.
Yeah, Levi McCarty Patrick Drobick and Howie DiSavino. So many names with wins here. Michael Kostick, David Duke, which I got to witness get his win of the season in good fashion with a late race caution that put the whole scenario together. So for what I've got to witness, the action continues. You've got drivers like Jake Ham, Daniel Cunningham that are trying to point their way in. But here tonight with Jim Kaufman, Tyler Justice, and a few others that are outside, you were going through the mathematics of who is uneligible, but how many drivers could just point their way in or just get a win to solidify this season finale?
You know, we've got at least a handful. I'm counting 6 right off the top here from 13th all the way back to that 18th area. They're not separated by much. So obviously Kaufman's sitting at the 223 points mark. And then on all the way back in 18th, Jamison Mullins, he's at 203. So it's anybody's ball game here.
We were talking briefly about this schedule and how complex it's been, the variety of racetracks that we've been to thus far. And here tonight, it's no different. Las Vegas in this round of 10, going on to Pocono next week. There's so much going on here with mile and a halves through this season, but you go to places like Pocono where it's a unique setup, it's a unique racetrack. You've got Lucas Oil Speedway, which is a track that, you know, for Truck Series is familiar, but a lot of leagues don't race at places like that. And then you go into the round of 8 with Michigan and Richmond Raceway, two polar opposites, almost, you know, the biggest track you could go to, the highest speed you can run, to a track that's tight and confined, short track racing at its best. And then Darlington for championship night, the track too tough to tame. That's going to test drivers in itself, but if you go to a champion, it's Darlington Raceway. That driver usually wins that track before they win a championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough end to the schedule, but it is so well thought out. Just a great mix and match of all sorts of different driving styles, and it's going to really come down to who is the best driver to take home this championship.
So we're coming up on the end of practice here. And with that, we're going to take you over to our Navy vet, Jared Ashley. Oh, we have our track graphic coming up right now. Actually, we're going to get a look here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway right quick in the middle of the Nevada desert, the Mojave Desert. And this long back straightaway has been known for speeds well over 190 miles per hour in this truck series. The banking here, very, very steep, well over 20 degrees, and it's progressive as it is. It sets up for multi-groove racing here, Logan. You can really run the outside or the middle on the exits of these corners and get a good run down these straightaways.
Yeah, we're going to see all sorts of driving lines changing throughout the entirety of the race. You know, obviously being a night race here, it's not going to be extremely hot, but we'll see these drivers start out most likely on that bottom line and moving their way up to the top of the racetrack to try to get some more speed later on in the race.
So to look at it from Google Earth, it's a big facility. You can see the infield there with the different configurations and road courses that string throughout. And I think it's only a matter of time because we've been going to the Roval for so long before we get a road course race here. And they widen out those grooves for the infield here. You can see the casino there on the pit road, and just a phenomenal facility. Would love to see this place in person. There's a look at it from under the lights. And tell you what, with this qualifying right now, I'm going to venture out and say that we have another first-time winner on our hands. It's just not been a particular favorite for anybody here, as James Goshen's up there putting some laps down. But with that, we will go on a short hiatus. We're going to take you to our Navy vet, Jared Ashley, for our national anthem, and we'll be back here momentarily for your grid.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We're back here live at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So we get set to mark up your grid. Right now, based off of times, it's Jacob Dennison that has the fastest time, but that is subject to change as we still have about 7 or 8 drivers left to go out there on the racetrack. And a very grippy surface here tonight, Logan. The weather, well, it's nighttime, and it's probably not going to vary very much.
Yeah, don't expect this track temperature to come up hardly at all. We might see anywhere from 80 to 82 degrees on the track, but this night setting, it's going to be perfect for all of the grip, for all of these drivers. We shouldn't see much issue out there on the track at all.
78 degrees ambient air and on the track surface. As this night progresses, could see the track temperature actually heat up from all the trucks going around this place, and it's more likely that you're going to lose grip due to the rubber buildup on this surface. How abrasive is this racetrack? And especially when you're pushing it this first few outlaps and in the first stint of this race, trying to get your bearings right, you could very easily overdrive this setup.
You absolutely can, and it's just all about being able to manage the throttle, manage your braking points. It's not an easy track by any means. It's one of my favorites on the service. I love Las Vegas. I have a lot of fun every time I get to visit this place, and it always puts on a good show. So to see this group here, it's going to be fantastic, as we're seeing them starting to grid right now, and we'll get right into it.
And with that, we take you to your Jam Printing and Promotion Pole Award. It's going to go to David Duke with a 30.970. The number 78 will start on the front spot. Craig Bontrager is going to start in the second position, just about 0.02 of a second off. Jacob Denson is going to start in the third spot with Daniel Cunningham in the fourth position. And then row number 3 goes to Charlie Harcum. Patrick Drabik is going to start in the 07 in sixth position. Seventh goes to Stephen McDonald with Jake Ham in 8th. And rounding out your top 10 here tonight from Las Vegas is Howie DiSavino and Jeremy Holt in the number 73.
Coming up behind our top 10, we've got James Kaufman in the 25 machine, next to Tyler Justice in the 33. Matt Knights in the 64 will start out here in 13th tonight, next to Jacob Ellingson in the 27. Charles Feltz in the 75 starts out here in 15th, with Chance Taylor to his outside in 16th. James Goshen will start here with the 85 machine in the 17th position, next to Brandon Wallace in the 99. And last but not least, in the top 20, Jeremy Gardner in the 42 takes the inside line next to Timothy Stubblefield in the 92.
21st position goes to George Jewell. Michael Kostick to his outside. Tyler Merritt is not on the grid just yet, but he will be starting from 23rd position. Levi McCarty will start in 24th, and Logan Sturgeon will round out your 24 or 25 car field here tonight from Las Vegas. It's time to roll the dice here, Logan, and as we set up here for 100 laps, 150 miles with 0 fast repairs and 0 green-white checkered attempts. The 3 tire sets in the pits that are available to these drivers are going to be at a premium because it's so easy, like I said in the beginning, to overdrive this truck, and you're wide open. Unless you're in dirty air, it's very deceitful how you can overdrive this thing.
It very much is, and that is extremely exaggerated by these trucks. You know, it's not as bad in the Xfinity or the Cup Series, but these trucks in that dirty air can really just give you kind of a sense of protection, I guess, for lack of better words, where it feels like you can drive it a lot harder than you can.
And so everyone familiar with the rules, if a driver causes an incident, they will receive an EOL penalty. The second incident will be a black flag and a hold under green. But we're this far into the season, so I'm sure everyone that's tuning in is familiar with how this is formatted and how this all works out as we get set to go green for our regular season finale here from Las Vegas. Pace car will get out of the way. There's a look at our live standings on the right-hand side of your screen. Right there on the cutoff lane with James Goshen, Tyler Justice. Based off of qualifying, gaining 1 spot, up 2 for Kaufman. Pace car out of the way. Let's go racing for the Veterans for Life Truck Series Season 8, Race 10, Las Vegas. Already some drivers thinking about 3 wide as they come across the stripe for lap number 1. And David Duke is going to lead the first one by, but they are 2 by 2 all the way to the tail end of this field. 24 trucks running.
Yeah, Duke had a fantastic start there. Bontrager not allowing him to get away by any means. Never really got more than that 1/10 of a second away from him.
Taking a brief look there at the 79 machine. Jacob Denson moving to the inside. He's going to try to challenge, pushes right up on the back bumper of your leader into turn 1. 49 on his outside. Looks like he's going to hold the high line. You can get a big run here on the outside if you're careful with it. Daniel Cunningham following suit. They're going to bump draft almost down the backstretch.
That's what you have to do here, is get a little bit of a bump, not too much, especially on the corner exit or entry. But if you can get snugged up to the back bumper of the truck in front of you, you could really start to drive away from a lot of this pack.
And a familiar name on the back of that 49 machine. Craig driving the Roses for Riley, or Riley. I'm drawing a blank on that for a second there. I was participating in that league and was a part of that at one point. And a good cause there as we go on the outside with Denson. He's going to get a nose ahead out of turn 4. 79 takes the point. He'll come by to lead lap number 4.
Yeah, Denson had a great move. Got out from behind the 78 of Duke last time by. Got up in front of the 49 of Bontrager and just finally was able to get clear and put some clean air on the nose of the 79 machine.
So Duke falls back to 3rd. Harcum on the move, up to the 4th position. And Drobic also up a spot. Up 6 positions, though, for Tyler Justice in the 33. Into the top 10 rather quickly. You got to wonder if the 33 is overdriving it, but running a higher line, it seems to be prevailing for anybody right now, as the 79 did clear for the lead on that high line. And it seems like everybody behind that takes that outside groove, there's not a lot of people up there right now.
Just to take note, as we have these live standings come up in that bottom right corner, you know, we've got 6 drivers locked in for the playoffs already. Tyler Justice right now up 3 positions. He's currently sitting in 14th without any points collected from this race. So, you know, he's got to get something here going tonight. Don't want to overdrive it too early. Want to definitely make sure that it lasts as long as he possibly can and get his way up into that top 12 for the playoffs tonight.
And that cut off right at 12. Kaufman just on the inside of that by 1 point right now. Those live points are going to continue to update. You can see him file around, fanning out 2-3 wide at times. Lap 7 complete. And Denson's going to lead another one. Back to 4th now for Duke. Solid start, but sense has faded. And you got to see, though, Duke has mastered the art of saving those tires and backing this thing off. He can very easily keep these guys within reach and maintain this gap. How much discipline does it take as a driver to not race the cars or trucks around you and instead race the racetrack? What's coming to you later on, 20 laps, 30 laps down into this run, where this truck could very easily get all that ground back?
You know, it's all about a waiting game. And, you know, everybody that I've worked with so far on this series, especially Scott. Scott loves it whenever I say this, but consistency is key. Like you said, you can't be racing the trucks around. You have to race the track here at Las Vegas, and that is without a doubt.
And this guy is one-handing it right now. I gotta say, that is swag that I've never mastered. In and out with the pipe, one-handed a drink. I'm sure that was some ice water right there, and then just into corner 1 like it's nothing.
And gaining positions while doing it.
Mastering the art of what is Las Vegas, David E. Duke in the 5th position now as we come out of turn 4. 79, starting to get a little bit comfortable. It's single files out there for the top 3 spots. We do have some side-by-side now on the outside. Bottinger is going to go back to the high line, or low line rather. And Drabic going to get a big run down the backstretch. Here comes Duke to follow in his footsteps. It's a split for the top 5 by about half a second.
Yeah, that top 5 just able to put together a really good run all together. A little bit of a distance from 5th to 6th. Nothing too crazy at the moment. But, man, that pack there towards the middle of the field around that 13th to 15th position right now they're battling it out back there. But this front half of the field is, as we saw with David Duke, I would have to say just chilling.
Looking back at this battle between the 68, Stephen McDonald, 24 of McCarty on the outside. A little bit loose there for the 68. 24 McCarty's going to cut down in front, try to gain a position on the inside. Logan Sturgeon in the 11th spot, just cracking into the top 10. Brandon Wallace in the 99.
There's that 33 of Tyler Justice. He's lost a couple positions here, back to 10th now, as we saw him up in the 8th position a few laps ago. So he's not in the clear just yet.
We talked about the Dash for Cash and the qualifiers that set up for that as well. And then the format that they've been following here is Nashville acted as the qualifier for Atlanta in the first Dash for Cash finale. Then Iowa acts as a qualifier for Phoenix in the second round. The top 5 finishers in each qualifier race will advance to the Dash for Cash finale race. The cash prize is $60. Best finisher of the 5 will be in the Dash for Cash winner. So you've got prize champs at $120 for first, $60 for second, and $30 for third. So much going on here, and the Veterans for Life, what they've put on, and with Goat Locker, it's been phenomenal. They're always giving back, and that's why this is so appealing as we see some 3 wide back down the backstretch here around the 11th, 12th position. They have not stopped trying to get into this top 10. It's a split off here for the top 5, but these guys are still gaining for everything as we have a truck loose across the tri-oval. Looked like it was a pink truck on the nose. I'm trying to get a look at it. Pink and blue. It was a 14, I believe. Chance Taylor, he lost a lot of spots there as he came out of turn 4. Got really loose, lost about 4 positions.
Hey, at least he gathered it back up and stayed straight on the racing surface eventually. It's, you know, very early to be causing any sort of a pileup by any means, but Taylor able to round that thing back in, keep it going around the track.
So coming up on lap 18, Denson and Dravic going back and forth for the top spot to the inside for the 07. Onboard driver cam here. And man, that was really tight there off of 4. I thought for sure as Denson will lead. Just barely, I think, got that lap. It was really, really close to tell.
Yeah, timing and scoring kind of not sure if it was quite on pace with the 79 machine. But man, it's a battle up here for first.
So carrying on for this top 5, they're starting to accordion back together here, Logan, and that makes you confirm that maybe some of these guys were overdriving their stuff. You saw with Denson, he got up there to the lead, now being challenged by Dravic. Charlie Harcum is also back into this picture. How about the 49? Slowly working his way closer and closer to the back bumper. It's nose to tail all the way back to Daniel Cunningham in 7th.
Yeah, it's, you know, seeing more drivers joining this lead pack here. We were down to just 5 earlier, a little bit of contact back into the 49, but now up to 7 in this lead pack with a little bit of a distance back to 8th, about a half second there. I think it's only a matter of time we see a car in the wall on the entry of turn 1. That would have been Bontrager in that 49 machine, just talking about him.
He just lost the entire field here. Still trying to regain the speed, but he goes from the top 5 all the way back to 22nd. There's a look at the replay. Maybe he had a little help here.
A little bit of contact on the inside, and then just that extra touch from the 27 on that back bumper. Wasn't able to get that recovered, as you saw the nose kind of immediately turn right once the 27 got to that bumper. Not a whole lot of damage, though, for Bontrager.
So carrying on with lap 21. Denson now under fire from Dravic, and looks like Harcum on the outside. 28 had a brief moment there in the 3rd position. It's so nose to tail, truck in the wall. We got someone down the backstretch that looked like Cunningham that got into the wall, but I think it was Michael Kosick. Somebody dropped below the apron there for a brief second.
That was the 24 of McCarty that dropped below the apron there.
Maybe a prediction that someone was going to get into the wall and lose control. I know recently with the acquisition of a direct drive wheel, I can feel the pain of some of these drivers that get hit into that wall and get stuck into it. It's so difficult to peel these things off of there and not overcorrect and pull down in front of somebody. Take 2 or 3 trucks with you. So kudos to Cunningham for getting into that wall but not overreacting to it, and he'll settle back out in the 7th spot.
And likewise to McCarty, to have that awareness to know he needs to get low just in case something happens. You know, we saw McCarty put on an absolute show last week at Phoenix, taking home that win and finally getting his first win of the season there. So to see him
with Charlie Harcum in the 4th spot. You're seeing side by side though for the top 3 positions as David Duke tries to go back and retain the lead here on lap 25. Just shy of it by 4/100ths of a second. Dive to the inside in turn 1. Here on lap 25. The Veterans for Life Racing team with the goal of fielding a truck next season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Veteran-based and focused on helping veterans all across the racing world. They're also heavily involved with many of the veterans' nonprofits and raise awareness for funds, and GLR is now partnered with them. They are the title sponsor for the Friday Truck Series. So you can check out Veterans for Life and all that they do. It's a big fundraising event. It stems way beyond the realms of what we do here on iRacing. And everyone here has some form of involvement, I'm sure, with military. And oh, we have contact through the trioval. That's the 27 of Ellingson. Into the grass, no yellow. Throws the hands up. This is another week that I've seen for the 27 of Ellingson that has not went his way. I believe the last time I saw it, he was racing for the lead, and more of an upsetting. We do have a yellow now. More of an upset here for Ellingson and that team.
Yeah, as you saw Ellingson throw his hands up, little bit of assistance. I can't even say a little bit. That was a lot of assistance there on the exit of turn 4. So we take it to the backstretch here. On board with Jake Ham in the 87. He'll be the one to get to that back bumper of Ellingson. There's the first touch and just could not recover it. But able to keep it down and through the grass. Not collecting anybody else, but losing a lot of positions in the process.
I realize Jacob Ellingson upset with that. I want to say in Jake Ham's defense, he was on that outside line, had the 27 kind of slid up in front of him there. However, you know, when you're breaking that momentum, I think with Ellingson's point of view, he had completed his pass. He was clear. So at that point, it's up to both drivers to not get into one another. And I think both of them did their part up until the exit of that corner. It's just very difficult once you get back to that throttle to know if you're going to get loose.
Yeah, it's a tough corner exit, but handled well between both of them, especially considering having a good majority of the field behind them still yet.
There's the race off of pit road. Duke is going to win that battle. Denson, Harcum, Drabick, and Ham, the top 5. Very, very close for those top 3 spots. But ultimately, Duke on fresh tires. They're going to burn one of those 3 sets. And I'm interested to see here, Logan, what does this do for the points now that we have a yellow? I mean, we've had that live telemetry. We've talked about it quite a few times, but that cutoff point at 12, I mean, we've already seen Kaufman and Goshen go in and out of that several times.
Yeah, so right now, Chance Taylor making that last spot in the top 12. He's got a 2-point buffer at the moment over Goshen and a 4-point buffer over Kaufman. So not a lot of wiggle room by any means, but you see Tyler Justice still up there in the top 12 as well. He is up 3 positions still yet with a 1-point advantage over Taylor and 2 points behind McDonald. Bontrager in a very good position up here, as well as Jake Ham, Daniel Cunningham, all with a lot more points than the rest of them back here from 10th back. But again, all it takes is a win. If you've met the requirements for attendance throughout this season, you have a chance to take home a victory tonight and solidify your position in that top 12.
And under caution here for the first time today on lap 27. This week's Veteran Spotlight is Jamie Mullins. Jamie served in the United States Air Force for 21 years. During his time on active duty as a helicopter crew chief, Jamie deployed 9 times in support of Operations Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and New Dawn. While in Special Operations Squadrons, Jamie participates in full-time in the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series and part-time in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. I'm going to quote here from Jamie directly. To me, Goat Locker means... Oh, man, that's a camaraderie. Yeah, got that word. Yeah. Between the past and the present military, first responders enjoying a shared hobby to escape the real life for a few hours a night. So for that, I mean, between 1992 and 2013, before I learned how to say camaraderie and still can't say it to this day, almost in the military before I was even alive. Shout out to Jamie Mullins here from GLR and the Veterans for Life Truck Series.
Now I'm seeing the 87 falling to the back of the pack right now. That is Jake Ham. Assuming he may have picked up some sort of a black flag, most likely speeding on pit road. But he does have an EOL. So we will see the 87 machine fall all the way back to the back of the pack.
Double back up here for our second start of the day. iRacing Pace Car leads these drivers around. 23 trucks still on the track. 64 Matt Knights is out of the race here. 14 laps down. Early exit for that team. Jake Ham in 22nd position. As mentioned, David Duke going to lead him into turn 1. Pace car out of the way. Let's go back racing under the lights from Las Vegas.
Duke had a whole car length on that restart there over the outside line, able to just put a bus length right off the rip into turn 1. It's Charlie Harcum in that 28, finally up to second place now. He can give a good challenge to David Duke.
You got Daniel Cunningham also peeking the nose in there for the third spot inside of Jacob Denson. Sideways from the 91, he loses control across the tri-oval into the grass, no yellow. All those spots lost here. He's still trying to regain it back onto the racetrack. And how frustrating, Logan, is it? You're passing for the lead and suddenly you're in the last position.
You know, that's the dangerous thing about having those fresh tires with such a cold track, is we're going to take it back to the replay camera here and just see exactly what happened. I don't think there's any contact from the 07 of Drabic. There might have been
That's
just
close.
a touch. It was very close, but easily recovered that 91 truck. So we're on
Get a
board
different
with the
angle
07 now.
That is so slight, but it is contact. That's all it takes. While we're back to the live shot, we were watching some side-by-side there during that replay. It's since settled out. As you can see, the 07 of Drabic back on the offense. 21 spots gained, though, for your second-place driver. The 24 of Levi McCarty is on the move. He sees the lead. It's right in front of him. One more spot to gain, and he'll lead a lap.
You know, after seeing McCarty drive the way he did at Phoenix, I am not surprised by any means to see him up here in the top 3.
So that drive has pushed him. You got momentum on your side. How many times have we seen drivers that develop over the course of a season? They finally start to put together some races, get some top 10s, then it turns into top 5s, then it turns into what could be that runner-up or a win. Drivers are such head cases, Logan. It's such a confidence booster. And when you get your first top 3, how do you feel the very next week? You're ready to go. Even though it's 7 days away, you're already practicing the night of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having that momentum going into the next week of racing, it's just, like you said, a massive confidence booster. And, you know, this would be the perfect time for any one of these drivers to take home this win tonight and go into that first round of 12 and see if they can put something together there. Try to get a repeat of the last week.
Look at this top 10, the top 7 especially here, as you have the 78 of Duke fall back to the 5th position. This has been the recipe. Later on in this run, though, you might see the 78 surge back up there. New name to the front. How about the 07 of Drabic? Finally gets clear. He'll take the top spot down the backstretch. Looks like the 24 falls back to 3rd.
Yeah, And Duke, I noticed him starting to slide back just a little bit earlier while we were taking a look at that replay, but you know, he definitely shows that he has the long run pace. I would expect to see him back up battling for the top positions within 15 laps or so would be my guess.
So pacing yourself, discipline again for the 78 team. Top 5 runs with Drabick, Denson, McCarty, Duke, and Harcum. Sturgeon has been on the edge of this top 5. Has not been able to crack into it just yet, but up 18 spots gained. Second biggest mover in the top 10. 26 truck. Looking to get a taste of that top 5. He's going to let him settle it out, though. You saw almost some 3 wide there for those top 5 spots. We'll talk about more action just behind him there, side by side with Holt to the inside, 73 in the 14th position. It's inside of Chuck Feltz.
Almost 3 wide back there in second place.
They are peaking again here. You can see the multi-groove racing really coming into play. And we talked about the weather and how 78 degrees on the track temperature. These guys have been racing now for about 40 laps as they'll cross the stripe. The track temperature has came up 2 degrees since the beginning of this race, up to 80 now.
Yeah, it was my guesstimate there right at the beginning of this thing. You could see this track heat up anywhere from 80 to 82 degrees, but it's, you know, it does have an effect. But again, being a night race, just so many advantages for grip and being able to run multiple lines throughout the entirety of the race.
So some pressing news here for Jacob Ellingson with a black flag speeding on pit road. Ellingson amongst those names that needs a win to get in, and this is not going to help that because we stay green. That's going to be a pass-through penalty for Ellingson, as if things weren't hard enough here tonight. Already taking a ride through the infield grass, and oh boy, do we have a moment there for the 24. McCarty is going to take the lead, but here is the 07 of Dents, or that's actually Drabick, that's back on the inside with a middle work here for the 24. He's going to take it way up there. Drabick gets the nose. Here's the advantage as he cuts the tri-oval. Neck and neck at the line. 24 across the line for a lap lead.
28 of Harcum here, switching back and forth between that inside line and the outside line. Just trying to pick and choose which one he thinks is going to make the faster exit, as he finally seems to settle in here to the top line and looking to the outside of the 07 of Drabick.
They single file out for a moment there in the top 3, but it's back to the inside for the 28 Harcum. Doesn't get a good run out of 4. Here comes Duke to the inside, cuts the tri-oval, gets the nose in there, forces his way to the bottom into 1 and 2. Lap traffic just ahead of these drivers could be a factor here momentarily. Look at the standings on the right-hand side of your screen yet again. Another change. Tyler Justice up 3 spots into the 11th position, 1 spot above that cutoff with Chance Taylor. 1 point still separating that cutoff line at position 12. Got to emphasize that all it takes is just a blink. I wouldn't want to sneeze at the wrong time on this racetrack right now because it could cost you a lot.
Absolutely not. And Stephen McDonald, you saw him up there on the point standings. He's currently sitting back in the 12th position. He has room to maneuver, but he is down 5 positions right now. Started out there in 7th. So he's making the wrong type of progress here for that 68 machine.
Well, you could go through this field and talk about the comers and goers of this whole event so far, but Jacob Ellingson's one of the standouts. That how much success in the early season the 27 had, how talented we know he is, and then for him to be currently running 2 laps down because of that speeding penalty, the frustrations probably compounding themselves. You get into a rush. Once you make that mistake or have something happen to you early in this race, it's so easy to compound that problem, continue to make mistake after mistake and make the race even worse, you're almost kind of digging that hole. You don't know how to stop.
Yeah, Ellingson just needs a stroke of good luck here with, a caution or two, get that lucky dog, get a wave around, try to get back up on that lead lap. He's had the pace week after week for top 10 finishes. So to see him back here 2 laps down, like you said, very suppressing news. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to see him battling to get back into the top podium positions, maybe come away with a win and lock himself into the playoffs.
With that, it's time to mention Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsors to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. The local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good for the community. Check them out as well, Jam Printing and Promotions. This top 3 has been stellar here tonight. Levi McCarty, though, starting to pull away just a little bit. 0.3 of a second roughly as we come by for the halfway point.
And this is exactly what McCarty did last week at Phoenix. So goes back to what we were saying about having that momentum going into the next week of racing. McCarty putting that ability on display here tonight.
When you can see the struggle here with guys like Duke and Gardner right now, maybe saving their tires early in this run the first time around, but it hasn't panned out the second time. It looks like maybe some of these guys have it figured out, and that clean air is only going to benefit you more and more the longer you run in it for the 24. And for every lap that Duke, Gardner, Denson, these guys sit back outside this top 3 and sit behind a truck, that's another lap that they're going to lose on this interval. If you look at the delta and this relative, 0.2 doesn't seem like much, but as this run progresses, you're getting into that realm where you can't gain that back anymore. And so all you can do is maintain that gap and pray that when we do get to pit stops that they're under green flag conditions and you can make that time back.
And it could also be a fuel strategy here, Bradley. It's, I'm not entirely positive what an 80% fuel load would equate to with an estimated amount of laps. But if some of these drivers saw that opportunity to make this a one-stop race, it could be very well that. We might be seeing Duke playing the gas card.
You're seeing a play for position here. Very loose the last time by for the 24 of McCarty. Dravik looked to the inside. Unfortunately, he got loose as well, so looks like we've got a yellow flag. It looks like Duke's around as well.
The 26 and the 78 is Logan Sturgeon, David Duke. 2 trucks collected in this one.
Duke electing to tow to pit road. Sturgeon's going to whip it back around. Here's a look at the instant replay, and I have a feeling that this happens way much further up into the field. I don't know if Duke got loose on his own. No, he had some help.
28. I saw that 28
Oh, this is a
machine.
moment
He got
here.
loose a few
This
laps
is a
ago.
moment. This is not what you want to see.
Ooh.
And another truck involved there. I
Two
believe that
more.
was James Kaufman. Got sent up in the air. 25, nowhere to go. Here's Sturgeon on board with him. He gets clipped. And then there just almost sends that truck over the end.
There was one more right before Kaufman hit. I believe it was the 99 of Wallace or possibly the 14 of Chance Taylor. Pretty positive it was Wallace, however.
And Duke hitting that exit. 28 of Harcum. A little bit more shallow on the exit to turn 4. And that's where the initial contact starts. But if you're Duke, you get sent down to the inside grass. You have control, and then suddenly this thing snaps to the right. You find yourself pretty much an unguided missile to the outside wall. Whoever's in the back of this field catching the end of it.
And not a good outcome for Duke, as we've seen him racing up front the entire time tonight. Gonna have a lot of damage to get repaired on that 78 truck before he can make his way back out there.
It's just a moment of, well, you're going to lose all of those spots there, and it's very difficult to lift off the throttle, knowing that that's just going to lose you even more. This race has been frustrating for a couple drivers already. Ellingson being joined now with company of Duke, and I'm sure others are going to follow on this. It's the gamble here at Las Vegas, and that's just usually how it goes here in a season finale when you come down to crunch time in the points. But with that, we're going to mention Veterans for Life Foundation. And the goal of the Veterans for Life Foundation is to both revitalize communities and support military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life. Through support services, counseling, and education, they provide permanent, affordable housing to veterans and their families. I also need to mention Cruising Classics, located in Columbus, Ohio. I'm familiar with them. Cruising Classics has had a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There's something for everybody out there, and their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods come down to visit us at a facility today. Check out their website at cruisingclassicsinc.com. So we sit here for caution number 3 of the day. It's been an eventful showing thus far here, Logan, but it's actually the second caution of the day, but 7 lead changes. And I gotta say, with that second caution catching up a lot of these drivers that are locked in with a win, but you had Ellingson that needed that yellow to get one of those laps back. This could be a saving grace.
Yeah, it very well could help out Ellingson. You know, he still needs one more, still 1 lap down, but, you know, a lot of times, Bradley, we've seen cautions breed cautions at these 1.5 mile tracks. So we'll have to see. Again, a lot of drivers came down, took another set of fresh tires. We saw that caution immediately after that restart the last time around. Be interesting to see how these drivers can adapt and learn from that last time. Maybe put together another green flag run here.
Steve McDonald on that cutoff line. Tyler Justice just below it. 2 points separating those drivers. But Steve McDonald wasn't really in the gray area or in that warning area until this caution came out. I wouldn't panic just yet if you're a fan. So a lot of racing left to be done as we're just past the halfway mark here on lap 57. As we double back up to go back green on lap 58. 100 laps, 150 miles. We're burning up tire sets. We only had 3 available today. Logan, this is shaking up the strategy yet again here for these drivers. When do you take those 3 sets? If you burn them all here early in this race and we get a late race caution, you could be up in the top 5 and suddenly find yourself outside the top 10.
You know, it's really boiled down to about 25 laps per set, which is a perfect number for these trucks at this track. So I'm not too terribly worried about the count on the tires. But the fuel, I think from this point, with that 80% fuel load, I believe that they can make it to the end. So if we see a green flag run all the way to lap 100, I don't suspect anybody coming down for any tires unless there's a caution.
Well, it's going to be close here as we go back green for the 3rd time today. 24 of McCarty into turn 1. Jeremy Gardner on his outside. Dralbeck pushes up on the inside into turn 1. Single files out relatively quickly there in the top 3 spots. 42 of Jeremy Gardner. First time we've mentioned his name in the top 5. And how about that for Charlie Harcum? Moves up to the outside. He has a truck blinking on the inside there. It was Tyler Justice in the 33.
Grabick able to make a fantastic pass through turns 3 and 4. That low line working excellent for him. Able to come around, regain the lead for lap 58.
Jake Ham into the top 10. Chance Taylor, James Goshen, 85, hanging on to the tail end of this top 10. Some more names changing here in that top 12 in points. The shakeup on strategy. How do you want to play this, Logan? We know that you talked about the 80% fuel, but if you didn't have enough to make it here and you were readily convinced of that, what is the right time to come down pit road? Do you do it with 30 to go?
You know, I would honestly stretch it out to at least 25 to go. You know, as I mentioned there a few laps ago, it is seemingly to be the sweet spot for these tires. You know, not too much wear and tear on them on the back end of things. They still have that good short run pace and long run pace at that lap marker. So, you know, if I had to come down for fuel, I'm probably coming down and taking tires at lap 75. But all in all, I'm waiting for a caution. I got to stretch it out as long as I possibly can.
A shout out to our producer in the live points. He's subliminally trying to get us to take mental notes of these cutoff drivers. I'm watching Stephen McDonald advance back up a position there briefly. James Goshen back into the top 12. And then Tyler Justice right on the edge. He is tied now. Justice currently running back. Well, I lost track of him there briefly, but he's been back and forth all day out of this top 12. You got to watch here. There's trouble. The 42 is flipped over. 85 around. This is going to bring out our third yellow of the day, and the 42 almost upended over the tri-oval.
42, Jeremy Gardner. That 85 there that we saw is James Goshen, who you see right there at the bottom end of the cutoff in the 13th position. So not good for the 85s. You know, he took a very long slide, at least 75 yards across the tri-oval. He's going to have to come down for a fresh set of tires.
Oh, it gets
That'll be his
really
last
tight
set.
there. Gardner almost upended, but for the 85, the spots lost here. Pretty minimal damage overall. Watch this here out of 4 across the hood. That was a great look there off the back of that machine as it slides Ken Block style across the tri-oval. You got to see the big picture here, and we're still relatively early. It is getting down to the high risk, high reward moments in these races that we've seen all season long. But if you want to take into perspective an entire season and throw it all away, the gambles here at Las Vegas, they can be so deceitful. There's so many opportunities to stick your nose and maybe put it 3 wide. You saw it there off of turn 4, how tight it can get just for 1 or 2 positions. And then suddenly you're at the tail end of this field, unfortunately claiming a driver that is just above that cutoff line prior to that accident.
Yeah, that was unfortunate to see there for Goshen, but again, another driver that's shown good speed week to week. He did not fall a lap down. You know, he's going to come in, get some fresh tires on that 85 truck. It will be his last set, but he has an opportunity to make his way back up through this field.
Chuck Feltz with a meatball flag will have to come down for repair. And of course, the iRacing service has a required repair, and that's why that black flag penalty will come up. You're going to see another replay here. There's Chuck Feltz that gets the damage on the front end, ends up sliding. That's pretty minor there, but enough to trigger the iRacing service to alert that driver that that truck cannot keep up to speed and needs repair It's a penalty within itself. It's a black flag, but it basically says this truck is not going to function here within the next 5 or so laps, and you have to bring it in or risk being disqualified.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Bradley. I'm rather confused by that meatball flag on Phelps. There's not a lot of damage by any means. It makes me wonder if maybe there is some front end suspension damage there as he was going through the grass and hitting the paved surfaces through there, but it's so hard to know.
Hidden damage. Speaking of hidden, how about the Hidden Wit Brewery? Hidden Wit Brewery Company was born from the desire to help you find a little escape from the world outside our doors. Our focus from the beginning has always been to craft drinkable beers you love and enjoy. They are majority veteran owned and the title sponsor of the Tuesday Night Xfinity Series. And also have to mention InVets. InVets aids in transitioning to civilian life, focusing on job replacement and placement services, finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure their success and happiness. They are a veteran nonprofit in Indiana with the goal of bringing veterans to that state to live and work. They are the title sponsor of the Sunday Truck Series. A lot of series here in Goat Locker. Got a chef's kiss from our producer, Eddie Smith. Trying to keep up with all the leagues. There's so many, Logan. I'm mentioning all these names. I've witnessed one, and the action's been great as we're doubled back up. But I tell you, if this is how they're all running, I gotta tune into V-Speed more.
Absolutely, highly recommend it.
So maybe if you collect them all here, you get a prize at the end of this thing. Trying to collect these top 12 positions in these cutoff races been difficult for us to keep up with, and we have live telemetry. So if any of you drivers out there are wondering when it's go time on caution 3 with 8 lead changes, you've only got 35 laps to go. I think now's the moment as we cross the stripe for lap 67. Green flag back underway. Now it's time to gamble in Las Vegas. He'll run at 49 laps. These drivers should be able to make it to the very end of this race. A few drivers have stayed out 12 laps on the stint. Barely got the heat in the tires, but we're looking at a side-by-side for second. Dive to the inside now for the 49, actually 28, 79, 24. And I've lost some of my telemetry here, but Charlie Harcum, Levi McCarty, side-by-side, first and third position.
One thing to quickly note here, Bradley, that 25 machine of James Kaufman, he picked up an EOL. Race control deemed that he was the cause of that last caution, sent him to the back of the pack as he came into this just a few points down, only 2 down from the 12th place in the playoff bracket. So that's going to be a big, big damper on his potential to make it to the round of 12 next week.
McCarty trying to go back to the lead. They were very tight off of turn 4. McCarty loses some of that momentum, but still has the nose in here on the entry of turn 1. 79. Denson's going to shut the door there briefly, get some dirty air on that nose. He'll pull away down the backstretch for lap 69. Right now, Logan, if you're sitting 7th, 8th position back right now where you're double file, still trying to decide who will be in this top 10, how frustrating are you getting? You've got the lead right in front of you, but every restart you get pinned on the outside, or maybe you're not comfortable with the line you have to run because a driver is racing you so hard. As we see another pass for the lead, it's got to be almost excruciating at this point. You know you're running out of time.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially whenever you can see the leaders in front of you, but you just can't get around the next car to start catching up to them. As you see back there in that, like you said, around the 7th to 10th position. But overall, it could be a lot worse. You know, they still have time to make it up here to the top 5. But, ooh, contact.
Moment there.
7 of the 79. Drabick and Denson. It was almost something.
Got a couple moments like that where it didn't take much to send a truck around. Some drivers that are trying to claw their way back into this top 10. Logan Sargent has just now got back into it after contact there earlier in the race sent him around. You're watching the battle for that 10th position right there. You've got that bright pink and blue truck in the 14 just on the inside of Chance Taylor, picking up another spot now, up 8 positions. Up 14 for Sturgeon. He's done it once, but when you got to go back to the end of the field twice, the urgency, it just starts to build to a point where you're either going to sustain it, you're going to ride this lightning, or this whole race is going to fall apart. It's all dependent here on how he responds to having to start all over. Look at that pinch down there from, I believe that was Jeremiah Holt, holding both those drivers down to the bottom. A little bump draft out of the exit of turn 4 from Ellingson. Ellingson back on the lead lap now in a must-win situation to the bottom into turn 1. Here comes the top 10 for the 27. Does he have enough time with about 25 laps to go?
You know, again, Ellingson, one of those drivers that always shows a good amount of speed week after week. So he does have the potential. He's going to gain up to 9th position now. Still has to clear for it.
Sturgeon not going to give this up easy. I think Ellingson had to force his way in there for that opportunity. Now on the back bumper of Taylor. Taylor, no room for error off the exit. They're swinging down the backstretch. Kostic 3 wide.
And again, to note for the 27 of Ellingson, he is in a must-win situation to make it to the playoffs. So he has to do something. He's got 25 laps to do it.
He's been in a must-drive situation this whole race with the spin that gave him damage and the penalty that put him laps down. You just pray that there's enough yellows to get you back on the lead lap. That's come to fruition. What do you do with it now? You pick up every position you can here in these next 25 laps. Ellingson doing exactly what he needs to do, but he's kind of hit that plateau now where he cracks his top 10, and now it gets a little bit tougher. These guys racing for position in front of him. They were 3 wide just a moment ago. For that as a driver, does that make you back off, maybe get less aggressive, see what these guys do in front of you?
I think you absolutely have to. You know, let these guys kind of start battling a little bit more, take advantage of the situation where they are battling and they're going to be slower, and then you can work your way around them. But you have to be very cautious.
Goshen 4 points out now on that cutoff. Tyler Justice hanging on by a thread, up 2 spots. These names have changed several times. Steve McDonald on the edge as well. You can see there on the left-hand side, the red, the yellow. Those are kind of the momentum swings that we've seen with the positions gained and the points very early in this race compared to where it is now. Got about 12 different names just on that cutoff line, and we still have 7 or 8 drivers that are in must-win situations. We mentioned Ellingson, mentioned a few others. There's Ellingson on board with him, looks to the inside, gonna try to follow the 3 on the entry of 1, keeping air on that nose, and that's a trick here at Vegas. If you can kind of keep air on that front end at all times, it's gonna help save that right front.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the game, is who can make that right front last the longest here, get the grip through the corners that they're going to need at the end of this run.
Drabick comes by to lead another lap. Charlie Harcum, Jacob Denson, top 3. McCarty falls back to 4th. Ellingson up to 5th now. Somebody told this guy the championship's on the line. If you want a playoff berth, don't hit the wall. There he is. Lost all that momentum and back to 8th. And contact across the nose. 3 wide out of 4. Can he slip through here? Sturgeon on the inside. They lost a ton of ground in that move there. Just a little moment of overdriving. And he's starting all over again with 20 to go.
So he almost gets shoved up into the wall again.
Ellingson's going to make it interesting. And even if he doesn't get that top spot and wins this race to have the playoff berth, it was a valiant effort. 2 of them right now in front of Ellingson are cutoff drivers, and they've been fighting with each other as well. Tyler Justice, Michael Kostick. Actually going to go back to Chance Taylor as well. Kostick, I believe, has a win, is locked in here.
Yeah, if you want a quick rundown on all of your drivers that are locked in, Levi McCarty leading the top of the leaderboards here for the playoffs. Patrick Drabick right behind him. Howie DiSavino, Jeremy Gardner, David Duke, and Michael Kostick. Your top 6 all have wins and are eligible based off their attendance. And then 7th place back is all up for grabs.
And keeping that live scoring going for us as Ellingson gets back up to 7th. They have single filed out from Harcum, who has taken the lead here. He'll come by to lead his 3rd lap of the day. It's actually his 2nd, starting in the 5th position. 28, almost into the wall there on the exit of 2. But if you're trying to hold on right now, as Harcum dances here, and if you're in the lead right now, you're getting the clean air. It's helping this truck handle. But you have nobody in front of you to judge your line, know if you're overdriving it. That gap behind you, guys drafting back up to your bumper. You're probably pushing the tires a little bit more to stay ahead of them. I think I'd want to be the 3rd or 4th position car right now, just watching these guys duke it out.
I would have to agree with you there, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about who comes across that line first on that last lap. So, you know, if it takes you all this time to lead this race and come across in that number 1 position, hey, so be it. As long as you can keep the truck there, do it.
Slowly creeping. Oh, sideways 79. Denson saves it. Hell of a save there for the 79, but he's going to end up losing about 12 spots from it. Even more so, back up on the track in the 17th position.
Jacob Ellingson so happy that caution did not come out, as he did come down for tires on that last pit cycle. He's got 10 lap fresher tires in the top 5 right now.
The problem here with Ellingson, he has those fresher tires. He got up there close to the top 5, but then made a mistake into the outside wall, has had to start over again. And you know that if you have to do those 2 or 3 times, his tires eventually are going to level out. He probably doesn't have that advantage of speed anymore. Because the last time by, he was the 8th fastest truck on the racetrack. He ran a 32.86 or 896. This time by, is matching pace with your 4th place driver, Michael Kostick.
And the 2nd place driver, Patrick Drabick.
Yes, Drabick is about a 10th faster than Harcum that last time. He'll go side by side into the entry of 3 and 4. Holding it down on the bottom. Drabick still has not cleared. Harcum leads another time by. Coming up on 10 to go.
Now, Bradley, you mentioned being in that 3rd and 4th position. Now is that time I would want to be back there. As you see the top 2 spots getting side by side and battling, one of them is bound to lose momentum, as we saw the 07 drop back quite a bit from the back of the 28 of Harcum. That gave the opportunity to McCarty and Kostick to catch back up to Drabic. Not enough to make a move, but if they can get closer and he does that same thing, it's a potential loss of spots for the 07.
Drabic going for his second win. Harcum looking for that first one. Closing laps, 10 to go. Crossing the line, 28 starting to get a little bit of headroom. 0.2 of a second crossing the stripe. For Drabic, McCarty, you gotta wonder, even with Kostick back there lurking, that could be a second-time winner as well, as there's a pass for third.
Now, one thing to note here, our race leader Harcum, not eligible for the playoffs. He did not meet the requirement for the races made in the season. So if he wins, he does not advance to next week. Obviously still allowed to race in the playoffs and encouraged to, but he is not racing for the championship here tonight.
Solidly in the top 12 for now for Justice and Taylor. We can give you that information as we put it back up on your screen. McDonald there on the tail end of that. Goshen and Kaufman outside looking in. They've peeked into this top 12 several times. But again, a mental note here. It's a matter of 1 or 2 positions as you see that 3-point gap from 12th back to 13th. 11 lead changes here today. 3 cautions. Winding down the tail end of this race. Under 10 to go. It'll be 7 to go when they cross the stripe. Here's a battle for third. Back underway again as Michael Kostick still trying to clear the 24 of McCarty.
McCarty's not an easy one to pass by any means, allowing Kostick to take that inside line, but carries all the momentum across that top line. He's going to keep that third position for another lap.
And if you had to quantify all of this data, you have another driver that could get a first-time win and not eligible for those playoffs based off of attendance. But you're holding on here with just about 5 to go. The 28 knows what he's doing, obviously giving some dirty air. But you can see a loose moment out of 4. One little slip up there, and Drabic could snatch away that lead, get 2 wins before we hit the reset button.
Which, if I recall correctly, would be the only 2-win driver in this series.
Into the wall there for the 07. Gotta be careful there. The exit of turn 2 has bit a couple drivers here tonight. 9 winners in 9 races. It's been one after another. Can we go 10 for 10? Is Harcum going to hold it with the 07 of Drabic getting into the wall there? He lost another 10. He's fallen off. 5 laps to go here from Las Vegas down the backstretch. 0.2, 0.3 of a second into 3.
That gap can close so quickly, though, as we have seen the 28 get loose a couple times on the exit. So it's, again, consistency is key, Bradley. I will preach that until the day I die.
Top 2 have split away from 3rd and 4th, who have split away a full second from Chance Taylor, Tyler Justice, Jeremy Gardner, Jacob Ellingson, Daniel Cunningham, and George Jewell. The top 10 here from Las Vegas. 3 to go, crossing the line. 28, a little bit different line through 3 and 4. Not allowing the 07 of Drabic to get back to his rear bumper. Cuts the tri-oval, trying to keep as much space between him and that 07 as possible. Doesn't want him to set up a run, but even after that wall touch, looks like Drabic's back on the offense.
Drabic, you can never count him out, as he does close that gap rapidly through turns 1 and 2. Loses a bit down the backstretch, so not quite the exit as Harcum is getting, but taking that low line, sliding up the racetrack on the exit. I don't know if he's got enough to catch back up to the 28.
It's not looking that way as we get the 2 to go signal. get to the white flag and make this race officially under green. I think right now, if you're Drabic, you're just content with this second place. Looks like we might go 10 for 10. White flag in the air here from Las Vegas in the regular season finale. Charlie Harcum. Use the surname with Charles, as he'll come into turn one. Just has to get around this place one more time. A mile left to go as they come out of turn two. No one is going to contest it. The top four have spread out. And for Charlie Harcum, he's going to keep the streak alive. In the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series, Goat Locker has put on a phenomenal season. And to put a exclamation point on the regular season, we have another first-time winner here from Las Vegas. It's Charlie Harcum in the 28.
And Bradley,
19 laps led.
I just want you to know that is the first ever in the Goat Locker Racing Series that there are 10 separate winners in 10 different races throughout a season.
It's the first ever on V-Speed that we haven't seen a repeat winner in a regular season across all the leagues. And I'm sure that if you factor in all the leagues that Goat Locker in itself has going live, I'm sure there's bound to be a repeat winner. This is a statistical anomaly. And it's what a shame, though, for the 28th that he's not going to be eligible for these playoffs based off the attendance. But I think this win, nonetheless, is going to be, it's going to be sweet, as he'll bring it down to the infield grass, burning it down here. Live coverage all season long. Unbelievable. You've got the winner at Daytona with Michael Kostek, Jonathan Cofield at Phoenix, Cunningham, Gardner, Pendleton, season 7 winners, season 8 winners. I need to get that that stat to go back on. I'll try to get that updated for you guys. But just a phenomenal season all the way from here to now.
Bradley, if you want a quick rundown, I've got you covered here. Jeremy Gardner takes the first win of the season at Talladega, followed by Drabic at Nashville. DiSavino took Atlanta. McIlwain, who we did not see on the track tonight, took home Milwaukee. Kurtz at Bristol. Barkas at Dover. Kostek at the Glen. Duke 2 weeks ago at Iowa. And McCarty last week at Phoenix. And now Harcum here at Las Vegas.
And there's the cutoff there with the live points. Stephen McDonald is going to get a playoff berth by 3 points as Goshen and Kaufman fall out of the top 12. Tyler Justice had to gain 3 spots here today. 2 positions gained for Chance Taylor. He just made sure that he was in. But how about that for Tyler Justice and Stephen McDonald? Those 2 drivers were right on the edge the whole race. And Tyler Justice is going to be in the round of 12 going into next week. Post-race interviews with your top 3. We got some final results here to talk about in just a moment. So we'll round up that information. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. The Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series Season 8 on our Race 10 from Las Vegas in this regular season finale. Don't go anywhere. Post-race coverage will continue right after this.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Back here live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Veterans for Life Truck Series put on a phenomenal show here for Goat Locker. We got to read here for Nasty's. Got to talk about March 21st, 2012. Nasty's opened its doors in Hilliard, Ohio. And from the get-go, they aim to embody the energy and passion their sons Nathan and John poured into their dreams. Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every guest received an exceptional food and service. They are the co-sponsors of the Wednesday Next Gen series. And they've hosted numerous fundraisers in their establishment with the goal of raising the funds to donate a sim rig to a deserving veteran or first responder. Check out Nasty's restaurant and bar. Great food and great fun. Final results coming up on your screen. What a phenomenal race. It's another first-time winner. 10 for 10 this season with Charlie Harcum getting the win. Patrick Drabick is going to come home in second. He has a win this season locked in. Levi McCarty in the top three. We'll get post-race interviews with those drivers momentarily. Michael Kostek, also a playoff berth. He'll get fourth position here tonight. Chance Taylor in the fifth position. Tyler Justice, sixth spot. Jeremy Gardner, seventh position. Jacob Ellingson, eighth spot, and a must-win. Unfortunately, not able to get that done. Daniel Cunningham, ninth tonight, and George Jewell will round out your top 10.
Behind that top 10, another locked-in driver finishing 11th, Howie DeSavino. Jake Ham also solidifies his spot in the top 12 for the playoffs, finishing 12th tonight. Jeremiah Holton 13th. Stephen McDonald also making his berth into the playoff appearances in the 14th position. Bontrager as well, right behind McDonald in 15th. Jacob Denson in 16th. James Goshen 17th. Brandon Wallace in that 99 truck finishes out here in 18th. Logan Sturgeon takes home 19th. And James Kaufman will round out your top 20.
So with Kaufman 11 laps down there. Then you move on to Chuck Feltz in the 21st position. Thank goodness for David Duke having that win. I know that it was a pretty good points battle all the way through this season. I think he would have made it in either way. But, you know, when you come into this race and have a problem like that, 47 laps down, 22nd finishing spot, it's oh so sweeter, that win at Iowa. Timothy Stubblefield is going to finish 23rd. Matt Knight's going to finish in 24th. And I believe Tyler Merritt electing not to grid. If he did, it was brief. 103 laps down. That's race control, I'm being told. So thank you there for Tyler Merritt and keeping this thing together here for 3 cautions and 11 lead changes from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Anyway,
that brings us trackside now, as we'll get to talk to your race winner here from Las Vegas. Another first-time winner in Victory Lane. You're in the V-Speed booth, Charlie Harcum. How does it feel to come out here? I know that you poured a lot of practice into this thing, but you were able to adapt and overcome with all the strategy calls here tonight.
Man, it feels very unexpected, but I gotta admit, it feels pretty daggone good. When they're kind of unexpected like that. Not to mention, I mean, this was, cut off, and there was a lot of drama there. There's a lot more to this win than just, winning, but wow, it was a great race, a lot of fun. I actually don't care for racing here in the trucks because it feels a little bit New Atlanta, Talladega, Daytona-ish, and sometimes it's just, man, I can't even take a breath sometimes. But a lot of great close racing. Shout out to Patrick and Levi and Jared. I mean, we were all, and Jeremy was up there, until he had his incident, but man, great race all around. I hope it looked good on the broadcast. I mean, it had to have been a blast for folks watching.
Oh, it was phenomenal watching the 3 wide, all the different lines that you guys were driving just to get, a 10th advantage out of the exit of these corners. But I got to ask you, come in here, you mix it up with these drivers that are in their season finale. A lot of people looking for that cutoff line. And then, you talked about not expecting it. What were your expectations coming into tonight?
Honestly, I thought, well, I mean, we can run up front probably, but I thought coming to the end, it's just going to be a crapshoot, and it's going to be whoever can grab that draft at the right, last lap or lap and a half and just make it work. I really thought there was going to be more back and forth up front, and there was in the beginning of the runs. But I think what proved out is in the long run, and just like the one we had there to end the race. I mean that truck was a handful for sure, and I think that cut down on a lot of the back and forth. And so if you could find the right line, and I think it was about a lane up, maybe a lane and a half up, and if you didn't have to get out of it too much, uh, you could hold your spot pretty good. And I think that's what happened there at the end. I mean, a little bit of tire saving helped. I don't feel like I was saving that much, but I mean, I think in the end, a little bit of tire saving probably proved to be pretty helpful as well.
Well, with a mile and a half starting to kind of trend towards the 50 Shades of Talladega, Charlie Harcum, you are victorious here in race number 10 in the season finale. Anybody you have to shout out to put that 28 truck on the track tonight?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks to you guys. You guys put on a great show. We send people to the broadcast all the time. I hope all the people watching enjoyed that. It was certainly a heart pumper there the whole time, but I hope it was a good show. Of course, we got to shout out Lincoln Tech, our big fall series sponsor. And then all the others: Hidden Wit Brewery, Cruising Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar. I know sometimes they're showing the races up there. Veterans for Life Foundation, of course. Veterans for Life Racing. InVets, they're like the Sunday truck sponsor. Jam Printing and Promotion. The McConey Setup Shop. I'll tell you what, that setup was not too bad tonight. So appreciate what they did for us. Of course, you mentioned V-Speed. Awesome show y'all put on. NASRA 360, as I like to call it. They're broadcasting the ARCA series. So, yeah, all in all, great race. I mean, got to give a shout out to teammates and B&H Racing. We got a couple folks in the playoffs, so we'll see what we can do. Man, a lot of drama, but we'll take it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you shake it up with them again next week. Charlie Harcum, victorious here from Las Vegas. Race number 10, 10th winner in the truck series. And with that, we're going to move down to Logan Threlkeld. He's caught up with your second place finisher, Patrick Dravick.
Yeah, I've got Patrick down here, second place tonight. Obviously, already solidified into the round of 12. Not a lot of weight on your shoulders going into this race, but still put on an excellent performance. Give me a quick rundown of what your strategy was tonight and how you're feeling going into next week.
I mean, the strategy tonight, I mean, you kind of said it perfectly. I mean, I was already locked into the round of 12. Really want to just kind of solidify myself in the top 3 in points so I can grab a couple extra bonus points. But I just came out here tonight to have some fun. Las Vegas is a fun track. It's a little bit of drafting stuff, but as you get into the runs, you've really got to manage some tires and manage how loose that truck ends up getting. So absolutely had a blast tonight. Really super stoked to bring this Jam Printing and Promotions 07, home with a podium finish. And as we look towards the playoffs and everything like that, man, I'm just excited. I'm excited to get them rolling and see how deep we can get into this championship run.
Absolutely. And we've got Pocono coming up. What are your thoughts about that track? How do you plan to prep for that race next week and try to keep solidifying yourself further and further in these rounds of the playoffs?
Yeah, I absolutely love Pocono. Pocono is a fun track. I cannot wait actually to get there. Had a decent truck there last year. Got tangled up with my good friend Jeremy Gardner there at one point in time and kind of killed us both. So looking forward to going back, maybe putting together a better race and getting a victory there because it is one of my favorite tracks for sure.
Well, Patrick, you had 27 laps led here tonight. You started out in 6th, gained those 4 positions. But I have a quick question for you, a little off topic, but
Oh,
your visit last week to Nasty's Restaurant and Bar to give away yet another sim rig to a deserving veteran. Man, just tell me about it. I'm curious. I want to hear all about it.
yeah, that's if you catch any of the Facebook reels that we do, and I always try to put a little video together when we do these veteran sim rigs and we go deliver them. I say I go deliver them, and and all that. Like it is the coolest part about Goat Locker racing to actually put this equipment into these veterans' hands that otherwise probably wouldn't have the equipment. And there's and I can't really even explain the emotion that goes around it. A lot of times when I deliver these sim rigs, it's a pretty emotional moment. But be able to do that at Nasty's. I mean, we were on the microphone. The owner of the restaurant talked for a little bit. You know, we were fortunate enough to have Ryan Pendleton out there as well. You know, Jake Ellingson was out there. Doug Ellingson was out there. So it was so cool when we do these in-person events to see people come in from all over the place to be a part of it, to be able to do the equipment, to give it away. Nasty's was able to raise the money for us to buy that sim rig to give to Gary. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that. We've done 5 of those this year. We've given out over $13,000 worth of racing equipment to veterans. Man, I'm just living a dream. I mean, this is phenomenal what we do and what Goat Locker Racing does for our nation's warriors and first responders.
That's exactly why I wanted to give you another opportunity to highlight that and everything that Goat Locker does for our veterans. So we appreciate you handling all that and taking care of those guys. But Patrick, second place finish here tonight. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to for your success?
Yeah, I'm gonna give one and only one. Jam Printing and Promotions. So Amber is the owner of Jam Printing Promotions. She's been a great friend of mine for almost 8 years at this point in time. She's family. She's done amazing stuff for here at Goat Locker Racing. If you're wearing a hat, a shirt, you know, you've gotten a postcard from us, you've gotten a business card, anything that you got in your hands that says Goat Locker Racing, she has done that for us. Her dad has been fighting some pretty significant medical issues. He's been hospitalized for the past week. Things are starting to look a little bit up, but if we've got some prayer warriors out there or anybody that could just keep your thoughts and prayers with Amber, Jam Printing Promotions, and the entire family there, I would surely appreciate it, and I know they would as well. So, so super stoked, you know, to get the podium finish tonight, to get this Jam Printing and Promotions truck in second place. But my thoughts and prayers are with Amber and her entire family.
Well, again, another fantastic message from Patrick Drabick. And we will see you next week, sir, at Pocono. We'll take it right back down to Bradley Cooper, who's going to have our third place finisher, Levi McCarty.
Coming into this race tonight with the points lead, Levi McCarty, you were kind of in cruise control mode for the most part, but then, you know, the race changes hands. It changes pace, the rhythm of how these guys were going around. You had these cautions, the shake up in the strategies. Suddenly you find yourself in the lead. You didn't want to give it up. It looked like you were actually pushing to maybe get that second one. Third place though tonight. How's it feel?
Feels great. Really happy to come home as the regular season champ. A lot more work to do, but definitely a good achievement in this league with such talented iRacers. Really proud of that. Yeah, had a lot of fun passing a lot of trucks coming up through the field. Was able to get where we wanted to be, and then I would say that I didn't really keep up with the track as well as I could have, and got real tight on me there at the end. But yeah, we'll be happy with a third place finish, and big congrats to Charlie coming home with the win. That was a huge win for him.
And McCarty, we got to talk about Phoenix Raceway. It kind of propelled you up there to that position that put you on this pedestal. And how is the momentum going into this postseason? I know a lot of drivers dread having a playoff format. They'd much rather have this thing just string out on regular points alone. But you're seeming to be a playoff contention, playoff style driver with the way that you came on here as of late.
Yeah, I mean I felt like I had some really consistent finishes to even from the start of the year, but I was just kind of hanging around there, and then I would catch a good break, and really sometimes the finish didn't kind of reflect how the race went. But yeah, Phoenix, just being able to get up there and kind of lead a bunch of laps and dominate, I mean, that gives you confidence, especially in a good league like this. And you know, you really think to yourself like, man, I can really go out and win on any night that I really put my best effort forth. So yeah, a ton of confidence heading into the playoffs, and yeah, it'll be fun. I've ran in leagues where they did just the regular point style, and I definitely prefer the cut line format. It kind of plays to my driving style.
So you string together some top fives. You're going to have your fifth one of the season here. Levi, before we let you go, anybody that's responsible besides you for bringing this thing home in third?
Yeah, I always got to thank Fairfield Auto Group, Fairfield Motorsports. Those guys always hooking me up with incredible paints. B&H Racing, appreciate those guys. Feltz Media, Little Miami Brewing, all those guys that the B&H Racing team, the paints that they run. I always try to shout those guys out. NASRA 360, appreciate those guys. Maconi Setup Shop, Jam Printing and Promotions, InVets, Veterans for Life Racing, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar. I appreciate everything that they do. It was very cool that they live streamed the Dash for Cash race. So I appreciate everything they do for the league. Veterans for Life Foundation, Cruising Classics, Hidden Whip Brewery, Lincoln Tech, and I always got to shout you guys out. V Speed, best show in iRacing right now. Appreciate all the work you guys put into it.
Absolutely. And then, the best show, it all comes down to our producer in the background, keeping me going and keeping me informed, as this will be my third or second time here, the Goat Locker. And that was your third place finisher, Levi McCarty, as we set sail for next weekend. Final thoughts here, Logan. I tell you what, it's another great show. We had our 10th winner. I mean, the action continues. You string together all these top 10s, you put together all these wins, and the whole season just comes down to 1 or 2 points to make that cutoff line for the final 12.
Yeah, absolutely. Very heartbreaking outcome for those drivers that are just a couple points down below that cut line. But, it's racing. There's always next season. You got to come back, put in the effort, and try to work your way back up there. But another fantastic race here from the Goat Locker Racing Series. It's been just time and time again, fantastic racing here. And I got to say, I'm quite jealous of the crew that gets to work in the Pocono Mountains next week. And it's just, what an ending to have 10 drivers win 10 separate races.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, we go on to the Tricky Triangle, Pocono, as we call it here on V Speed. And if you're not familiar with that, well, you should tune into some of our previous broadcasts across the board. You can catch us Friday, November 15th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on the V Speed YouTube, and you will catch flag-to-flag coverage of the Veterans for Life Truck Series. A shout out there to Lincoln Tech as well, in their fall series, as we bring you the rest of this season for the Goat Locker and Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. Well, for everybody that made this possible, Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkus, and everyone at Goat Locker Racing, for Adam Baker and myself here at V Speed, our producer Eddie Smith, and my colleague in the booth, Logan Threlkeld, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in and watching tonight's broadcast. We'll see you next week from Pennsylvania. Until then, stay tracking, and we'll see you next time.